Okay, so this book is called Seed, Soil, Sun, Earth's Recipe for Food. And the author is Chris Peterson. And this is an informational book. So there are not illustrations, there's are photographs. And the photographs are taken by David R. Lundquist. So he was the photographer for the book, not the illustrator. All right. So this talks about how the plants that we end up eating grow from seeds, which is interesting when we think about our lettuce challenge from last week. A few seeds, a little soil, a ray of sunshine, a splash of rain, a breath of air. This is Earth's recipe for the food we eat. Nearly all of our food comes from seeds planted in the soil, moistened by the rain and warmed by the sun. Tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, and peas all begin as tiny seeds. Apples, pineapples, melons, and mangoes start with seeds too. In fact, almost all plants on Earth grow from seeds. Each spring, farmers plant millions and millions of seeds in the soil, wait for good rains and warm sunshine, then watch their fields turn into food for harvest in the fall. Some crops grow into food for people, and some are fed to animals. Then the animals provide us with milk, meat, eggs, and other products. So this is a farmer's field. So when we were looking at the question about where does lettuce come from, it probably comes from a field that looks just like this. But we are going to look at a different crop in this book. They're looking at corn. Most corn seeds are planted each year in the United States. More corn seeds are planted each year in the United States than any other kind of seed. Whether it is sweet corn in a backyard garden, field corn in a section of land that measures a mile across, or popcorn in a big bowl, it all begins with a little seed. Check out that sprout. See the roots? And the seed and the stem. The beginnings of a new plant is curled up inside each seed. Moisture from the rain filters down to the buried corn seed, softening its skin and causing it to swell and split open. Part of the seed, the root, grows down into the soil. Another part of the seed, the shoot, reaches for the sun. So this is what we learned about in Gail Gibbons' book, but these are real photographs, which are very cool to see. In fact, that is a real close-up photograph. You can see the root coming down into the soil and the shoot and leaves going up towards the sun. A corn seed doesn't seem like much, but look out. When it is placed in good soil and the sun shines and the rain falls, the seed germinates or sprouts. It takes only a few weeks for the sprout to turn into a gigantic corn plant with roots reaching down over 6 feet into the ground. So that's taller than me. So I am a little under 6 feet, and that's like roots going down into the ground for a length that's longer than me. See the little guy poking his leaf up? Soil is another ingredient needed to make food. This tiny layer of our earth is made up of silt, sand, and clay, along with minerals, dead leaves, twigs, and a zillion tiny organisms. Each handful of soil contains more living things than all the human beings on earth. So there are tiny, tiny, tiny little organisms, little like animal type things, living things that live in soil that you can't even see. In fact, some of them are so tiny. Do you see this pin that she's holding? So the top of that pin could fit 1,000 of them lined up in a row, just on the top of that pin. They use the energy stored in the leaves, the roots, the twigs, and insects, recycling nutrients that feed the corn. The earthy odor of rich soil is bacteria at work. So bacteria are these tiny organisms, and they are breaking down the things like the leaves and twigs and things like that into making it into really rich soil that has lots of nutrients in it. So this is what Mrs. Skiffington read about in The Gift of the Tree. Remember the mushrooms break down the tree? It's the same thing with these parts of the soil. Ooh, check out those. Do you know what those are? Earthworms. Earthworms, amoebas, and mites and moles also live in the soil. As they search for food, earthworms slither through the dirt, eating debris and discharging it as a rich natural fertilizer called castings. So the way you guys will love to say this is that the earthworms, they eat that decomposing material like leaves and twigs, even dead animals. They'll eat through it, and then they poop it out. And when they poop it out, they poop out this really rich soil that's really good for plants to grow in. They leave behind an underground network of tunnels that allow air and water to filter in. The air and water help the plant roots breathe and grow. Remember when we talked about how robins love to go searching for earthworms after it rains? Because the earthworms' tunnels have gotten filled up with rain. All right. The soil provides a home for the seed, but the seed only has enough energy inside it to push the new seedling out of the soil. Then the sun takes over. Sunlight is a key ingredient in Earth's food recipe. Plants are the only living things that can use the sun's energy to grow. So inside a plant, they have this magical process where they take the sun and they transform it into energy to grow. It's called photosynthesis. Can you guys say that? Photosynthesis. Plant leaves are nature's food factories. Cells within the leaves absorb energy from sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, that's the stuff that we breathe out when we breathe out, and water through the plant's roots. Then these ingredients combine in a special chemical reaction that creates sugar for the plant to grow and releases oxygen in the air for people to breathe. So as the plant is taking in the air that we breathe out, and the water and the soil and the sunlight, it's making oxygen for us to breathe in. And look what else it's making. The way plants turn sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into sugar is called photosynthesis, and plants are really good at it. In fact, when they make energy, they make more than they need. They store the extra energy in their leaves, stems, flowers, fruits, roots, and seeds are food from the plants. Look at that yummy salad. Dominic, I know you love salad. When you eat lettuce, you are eating a leaf. When you eat celery, that's this one here, you are eating a stem. When you eat broccoli, yummy, you are eating a flower. And when you eat apples or tomatoes, you are eating fruit. So we eat all different parts of plants. And when you're eating peas or corn, you're eating a seed. Oh, they're about to get to that. Sorry, I gave it away. When you eat carrots, you are eating roots. When you eat sweet corn, you are eating seeds. When you drink milk from a cow, you are drinking a food made when the cows eat plants like grass, corn, and soybeans. There's those cows. All these foods begin as seeds. The seed starts the plant. The soil feeds the plant. The sun, the air, and the rain combine to grow the plant into food. And as they grow, all of the earth's plants produce oxygen for us to breathe. When the plants are harvested, they provide food for the world and new seeds to begin the cycle once again. Okay, all right. So now that we're done with the book, did you hear the things that a plant needs to grow? What are those ingredients that they kept mentioning? soil, right? The plant gets nutrients from the soil. Nutrients are like vitamins. Sun. The plant reaches up towards the sun, gets energy from the sun to produce energy for the plant to grow through photosynthesis. Also needs water. Get water if you water with a hose or water from the rain, and it'll soak the water up through the roots. And air. So the plant uses the air, the special fancy word is called carbon dioxide, which is, ready, watch this. See that? I just breathed out carbon dioxide. Okay, it's the part of the air that we don't need. We need the oxygen to help us live and be healthy, but the plants need the carbon dioxide. So plants and humans and animals, we really need each other. So that's the part of the air that the seeds need. The other thing that wasn't really mentioned in that book, and I don't actually have a picture for because it's hard to take a picture of, is space. So remember, just like animals need space for their habitats, because if you're too close together, you won't be able to find food. And we read about the tiny seed, right? When they're too crowded, plants don't have room to grow. So that's the fifth thing that they need that a lot of books and things we learn about don't mention is space. All right, so now we're going to do a little activity.